So today, as we celebrate International Women's Day, I wanted to take a moment for all of us to just look at how God has used women as an example to the world. While they were women, the example of the life that they lived was not just something that is a valuable lesson and an example and guide to women, it was to anyone, all to women and men. And so from the start, we see God can use women to change the world. God can use women to be in a role model. God can use women as an example of godly living. God can use women. That is the message I want you to have today, that God created you for a purpose. He wants to use your life to give him glory. And no matter what systems or circumstances you find yourself in, that is an unwavering truth from the beginning of the Bible to the end. God Himself has proven time and time again by how He comes into the life of a woman and uses her life to tell a story of hope, redemption, sacrifice, leadership, love, compassion, and ultimately his hand at work in the earth through her life. And so I wanted to pick some of those women as you listen to this message today, that you might be able to see one of them and hear their story and begin to see yourself in it. And wherever you find yourself today, that woman's story would be something that comforts you, that reminds you, that heals you, that empowers you, that inspires you, that challenges you, and even if need be, corrects you to change what you're doing to a way that pleases God. So, on this International Women's Day 2026, I really want to just share with you the story of seven women from the Bible, or six women from the Bible. The first I want to begin with is Eve. Eve from the book of Genesis, the beginning of time, the beginning of all creation. Most of us know her as Adam's wife, right? And many people, if you know the story from childhood, that she ate the fruit. What I want you to understand about Eve, very simply, she's an example of a woman where God has given her everything, and still she is not satisfied. She has everything the world has to offer, and it is still not enough. And so I feel like when God gives us that example, ladies, one, there are some who you have everything, and there's still some dissatisfaction in you. There's still something missing in you. You don't feel joy from it. You don't feel pleasure from it because things, the messaging things, what you have in your environment, they are not enough to make you happy. You must have God anchored down in your soul, that connection and relationship with Him. And when you have that, whatever you have is more than enough. It satisfies. And so Eve's lesson is our satisfaction doesn't come from material things. Our satisfaction cannot come from our environment. We will not be fully fulfilled. So as you go after having more, as you go and try to build businesses and start programs, as you sit and you lack certain things and you look at other women, she has this and I don't. She has that and I don't. I want more. I want more. There's nothing wrong with pursuing more. Just don't forget that more will not satisfy you. Things cannot satisfy you. Accomplishments will not satisfy you. What truly must satisfy you is your anchoring and your relationship, walking with God. In the Bible, it tells us that in the night, they walked with God, that they were present with God. And when she went after things more than God, she lost her connection to God. So pursue your goals, lady. Pursue your dreams, but do not go after things and put your eye so much to things that you lose the sight of God, the walking with God, and the relationship with God, because that is the most important thing. And then after we look at Eve, there was a woman in the Bible. Her name was Sarai, or Sarah later on. And she was a woman who had an impossible dream. She was an older woman who desired a child to give birth to. Absolutely impossible according to man's rules of biology. Older women don't give birth to children. That is what science has told us and taught us from our birth, so that we all think we must have our children young, we must have our children by a certain age, and that if we don't have children by that certain age, we don't get to have children. They have decided this body that God created, what it has the limitation to do. And in that desire to learn from science, we too sometimes adopt that thinking. And we forget that the scriptures tell us all things are possible to them that believe. We begin to put in our mind what the science has said. And science is not always wrong, it's just not complete. It is what man understands. But our body wasn't created by men. Our body was created by God. And in his creation, he can do whatever he chooses to do. And so he comes to Sarah and he tells her in her very old age that you will have a child, because God wants to give her the desire of her heart. And she laughs, because sometimes the impossible thing that God has given us to do, the thing we've not seen anyone else do, seems so ridiculous. We can do anything but laugh. That's all we can do. We can be like, come on, this isn't going to happen. This is just too crazy. God may have given you something to dream to do, to be in the earth, and it just seems so crazy to everybody else and even to you. I want you to hold on to that impossible, because Sarah's life is a proof that there is nothing impossible for God. Even if everything in the world and in your bodies tells you it can't be, if God says it can, then it will. Let that be your lesson. Don't allow that impossible dream that God has given you to die simply because it seems like no one has ever done it. It seems like it can't be done, that people don't do this. People may not have done this because God has called you to be the first to do it. And then we look at Ruth. Ruth is this faithful, beautiful woman who is not even a believer, but comes into the fellowship, the relationship with a woman, an older woman of faith, and begins to love on her. She has lost her husband and all her worldly possessions, and she is poor. She has nothing. She literally has to go behind people who are collecting their food and their harvest and then pick the leftovers. But she has an obedient and loving spirit to listen to her elder, to listen to the wisdom of a woman of faith. And the woman of faith says, I'm going to tell you what to do to be able to change your life. And she begins to instruct her and she begins to guide her. And in the process of her willingness to adopt the woman's faith, to grow in her faith according to the teachings of her elder, in her obedience, the scripture said, when you are willing and obedient, you will eat from the good of the land. And Ruth's obedience to Naomi, her mother in law, her willingness to listen and follow instructions and behave in such a way before the sight of a great man. And the story isn't that a woman needs to get away to get the attention of a great man to have success. Ruth had been a wife and she wanted to be a wife. She simply lost her husband to death. And so God restored her to her position, even at a higher level. He returned her to being a wife. That's the story. It's not how a woman gets the attention of a man, it's how a woman follows the advice and the wisdom of an elder woman who is a woman of faith. And that woman of faith relationship to this younger girl to show her how to restore and redeem her life. And then God gets in the middle of it and he makes her even greater than she started. I want you to know today, if you're a widow, if you're a woman who lacks what everybody sees you, and they see you as the poor girl, they see you as the girl with not enough, they see you as the girl lacking. I want you to know when you're willing and obedient, you will eat from the good of the land. When you are obedient to the elder women of faith, when they are giving you guidance and instruction, if you will follow, God will step in and he will change the trajectory of your life. You will go to places, do and have and be something you never even dreamed. Ruth became the bloodline of Jesus Christ himself in the earth. So I want you to know it doesn't matter what you don't have today. When you put God in it and get godly counsel, that is more than enough, more than education, connections, relationships, money. That's enough for God to position your life that you will have a life that you could only dream or imagine. God bless you for that. And then we look at Esther, another young girl who was groomed by a man, an uncle who begins to guide an orphan, losing her parents, which can make life very difficult. But the love of a relative comes in and grooms her. And even though she's taken into a situation that not please her, God is ordering her steps. What seems like a loss when she's taken from her family for the purpose of being prepared to be the wife of a king, God's really ordering her steps. Sometimes when we go through dark places, when we go through situations that seem like our downfall, God's really positioning us. He's moving us through the earth so that we can be in the right seat at the right time to make the right decision. And that's Esther's story. She needed to be close to the king because God knew a time was coming that he would be able to use her to save a people. So, some of what you're going through, yes, it's for you to build you up, to groom you, to prepare you, but it's so that there's a thing you're going to do that's so powerful, so impactful. God has to take you on a journey to prepare you so when the appointed time comes, you have the courage and the confidence to go and do the thing that shapes the world. So God's preparing some of you. The hard days are preparation. The hard, uncomfortable times are for the purpose. God's calling you to something greater. Don't quit. Don't give up. There's more for you. There's something God's called you to do that will bless you and bless the world. We need you to stay on your assignment. We need you to not fall back. We need you not to give up. And then there's the woman with the issue of blood. It's a story about a woman who suffered more than a decade, I think 12 years, suffered. She says, the Bible says she spent everything she had. So she had means, but she had this illness. She just couldn't get rid of it. The medical stuff that she was doing wasn't working. She was trying everything. And one day she heard about Jesus. She heard about this healer being in the land. And so she made a commitment to go to where he was, to go connect with the healer, to seek healing. And what you have to know about this is that in that time, in that culture, in those people, you were not supposed to, as a woman, come near other people while you were struggling with an issue with your blood. You were considered unclean. And to come out and do things, you would make other people unclean, and there were punishments. So what you have to understand is she makes a decision. I am willing to die and risk my life to get to Jesus, because that's how much confidence she had. That's how desperate she was, because she'd given up everything. So we can imagine she's like, I don't know what else to do. She is at her end. And she has her conviction that I'm going to go. I know between the time I leave where I'm at and where he is, I might meet people and I could lose my life. but I have a conviction that if I get there, something will happen. And she gets there through the crowd, and her faith is so strong and so powerful. She touches God, and Jesus says, "Oh!" He stops. He says, "Who touched me?" In the presence of a crowd, so much so the disciples say, "It's so many people. We don't know who could have touched you." But Jesus feels her faith so strongly, and it says, and immediately she's made whole. I want you to know she's an example of the level of faith we as women must have. That conviction that nothing, no system, no laws, no rules in this world will allow us to be separated or disconnected from God. That we understand He is truly the all source, the all sustainer of all things for us. And that we would seek Him with such a boldness, such a conviction, such a commitment that there is nothing that would stop us or separate us from Him. And that when we have and walk in that level of faith, God, Him very self, feels our presence and responds. So as you are going through your problems, get so sure of who God is and allow Him and press into Him. How do you press into Him? Study His word, quote His word. Stop speaking the negative over your life. Stop speaking the negative over your problem. Stop talking about, oh, I don't have no hope. I don't have no man. I don't have no education. I don't have no this. It's hard. It's this. And begin to speak life. I'm the head and not the tail. I'm above and not beneath. I'm a lender, not a borrower. I am favored by God. I am blessed among women. This is what you speak over your situation, putting God above all else, and He will come through. And then the last and not least is Mary, the mother of Jesus. And everybody knows the story because we all celebrate Christmas. But the point I want to make is before Mary is given the assignment, she has to be a woman among women that God can look down and think to Himself, she I can trust with this assignment. This is the one I can trust with this assignment. She will not only care for the belly, but she will not lose her own mind from the pressure of the people that I am asking her to do something. This is a woman I can trust with an assignment to change the world. That's who Mary was. A young girl, when she got the assignment and the angel comes and says, "You're going to have a baby without being with a man." For many women, they would be like, "No, not me. I don't want that. Don't give that to me. It's not possible." And they would have spent their time being upset and angry and disappointed. And all of that negative feelings would have been right running through them in along with their child. But God understood. She might question, but in the end, Mary says, "Be it unto me according to your will." He understood that she had such a love for Him, such a confidence in her faith, that even this unusual assignment God had given her, she could submit herself to. So imagine you being the woman that God looks among the land and He says, "This is the one I can trust with my seed. This is the one I can trust with my hands of work in the earth." Mary is an example for all us. Let us live in such a way before God that when He thinks of us, He believes He can trust us with the assignments to change the world. God bless you today. I pray this message blesses you and that you find favor among your God and among other women, that you understand that you are called to be great, that you are mighty in His sight to the pulling down of strongholds, that there is no good thing that God would withhold from you as you walk uprightly before Him. I pray today that you feel blessed in the city, blessed in the field, that you understand that God has called you to the kingdom for such a time as this, to do His good and perfect pleasure in the earth. God bless you, my girls, today. And for the men listening to this message, if you might be, may God empower you, equip you, and guide you to love women in the way that He loves us. God bless you today. Amen.